best thing to do is just that you will know what we're talking about. Maybe to show you a short video clip.
Never seen before, right?
Never seen before of two rescues that we did in Haiti. Actually, one of them had a connection to Twitter, and we'll talk about it later. So I will. This is where this is the landing in Haiti. This is where we unpack all the equipment that we brought from Israel. Sounds like very IDF, music and everything. This is how we sleep in the first days. Then we got upgrades. We got tents. This is from Google. Yeah. Oh, sorry. But I need to see it. Like this. Actually, I want to show you the movie. I think it's starting in a second of the first rescue. It's a guy called Gail. He was the head of the tax authority in Haiti. I know that in Israel nobody would rescue him. In Haiti, now we don't need to pay tax. Part of the video from the real rescue, he was trapped between the third and the fourth floor of a six-story building. This is a real, we did something called tunneling, which you tunnel your way in to the person. I don't know if you will see something, but in a few seconds you will see his head in the middle of the picture. Can you see something?
Turn off the lights.
Turn off the stage lights, please.
The light? And this is the moment that we actually pull him out. It took us 15 hours to rescue him. He was trapped for 4 days. We got to him after he sent SMS, and this is the moment that we pull him out. It's like a bird. He was trapped for 4 days, couldn't move, and after we rescued him, right now you see that he's talking with the team. The only thing he wants is his wallet and his cell phone. I'm not kidding. This is what he pull him out, he asked for his wallet and his cell phone. It's a true story. And in a moment you will see the second movie of a guy that basically we knew that there was some trapped people. We got a journalist said that he read Twitter about some trapped people.
So on Twitter you found this out?
No, we didn't find it on Twitter, but we found. But there is a journalist that told us that he saw on Twitter someone that tweeted about a trapped person. So we went there. It was 10 days after the earthquake. We thought nobody can live 10 days under the wreckage. But we were there. And this was a guy, 19 years old. And the funny story here is that, we got to him and we said, all right, we're going to take you out. And he said, is there a lot of people outside? And I said, yes. And I said, all right, I need to change clothes. And I'm not kidding, he removed all his clothes. You can see that he's coming out without clothes. And this was a really funny story. And here is the moment that we pull him out. You can see. Oh. After 10 days, again, 10 days, he came to the hospital. 1 day later, he was released. He's fine right now. other stuff are boring. Reconnect and I will sit. Turn on the light.
Stage lights.
Alright. So when Jeff asked me to come and talk, he asked me why do I think that Twitter had such an effect in Haiti of the rescue. Now, in order to understand this, I think you need to understand how normally things happen in search and rescue operation abroad. Mainly when we come to other country to rescue, to Turkey before the crisis, or Kenya and Argentina. Normally you have government there, and you have army there, and you have the police. When we arrived to Haiti, nothing was there. Everything was collapsed. So there was no army, there was no police, there was no government, no Ministry of Foreign Affairs, nothing. So it was like the Wild West. We land, we find some guys with cards and said, hey, take a few bucks, give us the cards, and they gave us. And then we need to find what to do. And we need to know where are the trapped people, and we didn't know anything. So on the first day, we just hanging around with the cards and trying to ask people, have you seen some trapped people or stuff like that? This is how we got our first guy, the first trapped guy. We found someone in the street. He said, I just got an SMS from him last night. He's still alive. So we went there, and he was still alive, and we rescued him. Then all the Haitian people heard that if you said that there is an SMS, when you come rescue, so we went on the street and everybody stopped us. All the people stopped us and said, listen, yesterday at 6 a.m. I got SMS, please come and rescue. So we understand this is not a good method to find trapped people. So we traveled in the city and we tried, we've been in contact with journalists and with the IDF Hamal in Israel. Yeah, the operation room was actually on Twitter and on Facebook, and when they saw messages about trapped people, they were calling us and said, listen, we just had a message on Twitter from a known journalist that there are a few trapped people there and you should go and check it out. And this is what we do. I think the most funny story about it is that I think after 12 days, we got a Twitter that said there is a live person in a grocery store. He's live, he's talking, please come and rescue him. So we went there, and we got with the French team, and the French team actually came before us. So they started to rescue him, and the funny story was that he was trapped in the grocery store, but in the liquor department. For 12 days, he only drank beer. To come out. So I think this is the most funny Twitter story that we had in Haiti. And
so when we sent out our team to Haiti, we were usually on Twitter. We put out updates, SMSs that we sent to journalists on IDF Spokesperson. For Haiti, we decided to open up a separate stream to keep the information separate. It was IDF in Haiti, and after a couple of days, people began to realize, just like Shalev said about people beginning to realize that the Israelis were there and they could help out. People began to realize that the IDF in Haiti Twitter was actually legitimately the IDF. And so me and my soldiers sitting in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv were getting requests for help and assistance from people. It was something that we hadn't expected. We were at the beginning just updating information, how many people had been rescued, how many people had been treated in the hospital, and then suddenly it turned into a platform where people could get in touch with us. And most of the time, people don't know how to get in touch with the IDF. And this is what was so amazing about Twitter, was because people let other people know on Twitter that they could talk directly to us. And we would, when we got requests for help, we would check it out online, see if there had been any other reports in the area. We would Google Earth it to make sure that it actually was in Haiti, because unfortunately there are people who don't take things seriously and would send us false requests for help or just misinformation. And then once we could verify it as much as possible, I would call up our operations room in Tel Aviv. We would then call up the operations room in Haiti. And then Shalev, people like Shalev would be sent out. And actually, we have a recording here of it was actually recorded just randomly by one of the officers in the operation room, and I hope this works, but one of the soldiers who I had called, who was sitting in our operations room in Tel Aviv, called up Haiti, and so this is going to be better for people who speak Hebrew, but you guys hear me?
תקשיב, אני אקשר מכיוון שאנחנו מפעילים בחלק מהנגנטים שוטט שלנו אתר טוויטר, נמצאים בקרב לכל מה שקורה. עכשיו, מישהו שלח לנו הודעה בטוויטר, שמכנה לאיזשהו מקום שכתבנו לו באינטרנט שהוא כתב בקיתונים, זה הודעה שהוא כתב, הוא אומר שיש שם 150 ילדים בלי אוכל ובלי מים. אני רק רוצה לדבר לכם את הודעה, אני בטוח את השיקולים קצת לתת תעשו. באמת לטוויטר זה הודעה קצרה, כתוב כאן, urgent, 150 kids, no food, no H2O, אני חושב שמקום שנקרא
Alright, so that just gives you an idea of how it all worked. Unfortunately, Chen couldn't be here today because he's on Avtash.
By the way, the first time that we got a call from the spokesman Raisin room in Tel Aviv that said he read something in Twitter, we thought it's Shy and Draw from the radio trying to joking on us. So we said, all right, and we hang up. And then they called us again. Said, really, no, listen, it's really the IDF. Said, all right, and we start taking it seriously. And I think it's actually the first time that the IDF is using social media to find people or to. It's helping social media. You know, IDF is very meruba and consistent, and they have a specific method of how you find people. And we realized that in Haiti it doesn't work. And like Jeff said about landing airplanes in Haiti, and like we find traps, I think that social media really helped us in Haiti, and this is the main issue here.
I also think it really wasn't planned out in advance, and I think it speaks to the sort of organic nature of social media and how it grows and develops and responds immediately to different situations because everybody's feeding into it. And so there's so much creativity, and as a result, because we had this new media desk, we had an opportunity to respond. And the fact that the soldiers in the IDF spokesperson's unit, we're used to dealing with PR, we're used to, trying to get across the message of the IDF.
But you're working in a time where I think you're pioneering a field, right? Because I don't know if there's any other time in history yet where there was IDF or any army or any military unit was working with the public, dealing with the public through a back channel,
right,
interacting with anybody, trying to
absolutely,
save lives. And what about the story about finding the hospital in Miami for...
Oh, right. Okay, well, that's another story. Just want to quickly finish my point. I think that it has everything to do with the people who follow you on Twitter and the people who want to get involved and take that little tiny bit of extra time to retweet information or pass it along. And I'm just really glad that suddenly in a situation like Haiti, where usually everything's so politicized when it comes to Israel, and especially the IDF, you had suddenly such an overwhelming show of support from people who, you know, before had never heard of the IDF or didn't really care or knew just very vaguely. And suddenly, because of Haiti, they were all willing to pitch in and help online. So that was quite remarkable. One of the stories that we had from Haiti was that we got a call from actually our reservist who was based in Haiti with the team. She was from Dovel Tzal, from the IDF Spokesperson's unit. She told us that there was this little boy, Mike, who was 4 years old. He hadn't been injured in the earthquake, but his father had brought him to the hospital because he had heard that the hospital was really well equipped and they were dealing with, they had a pediatrics ward and everything like that. And he had walked pretty far to bring his son to the pediatrics ward, and he got, this little boy Mike got diagnosed with stage 4 leukemia, something really advanced, really bad. And the doctors basically said he needed to get medical attention at a serious hospital immediately. So we took to Twitter to try to see if we couldn't get in touch with any groups that would be willing to coordinate his transfer to a hospital in the States. You know, do all the paperwork, pay for his transport, and bring him to a hospital in the States, because we had another doctor, reservist in Haiti, who had set up with a hospital in Miami that this boy could come and get treatment there for free. And there had been a lot of Christian organizations who were following us on Twitter, and who were, because they all had these really extensive ties in Haiti with their charity work. And so we got responses from people offering to pay and coordinate. And at the end, there was another team in Haiti who ended up facilitating his transfer. But we had set up, if it hadn't happened like 10 minutes before that this other charity organization had come and taken Mike, we had set up through Twitter for a Christian charity in the States to cover all of the costs and bring them across to the U.S. So that's yet another example. It's not just rescuing people out in the field, it's not just bringing people humanitarian aid, but we were really able to harness the power and the interest that Twitter, that people on Twitter were showing in order to save this little boy's life. So that was really quite remarkable and very, very special.
And so, as far, how has the use of the account changed since Haiti?
Well, I mean, I think...
you are verified now, by the way.
Yeah, we are verified. Thank you, Jeff. I think that this was a very, very specific and special circumstance. I hope that, I mean, unfortunately, more earthquakes have been happening. There will be more natural disasters. People like Shalev will be sent out again in the future. And when that does happen, I think that because we have set the precedent here, that even more people will be aware that this is something that the IDF will do and continue to do in the future, and we might develop it even more. And hopefully next time, because even more people will be aware of it, we'll be able to be even more effective. And in terms of the day-to-day, it hasn't changed that much, although we've been developing it. If people were following the story of the flotilla, during the Rachel Corrie, which was the second boat that came from Ireland, we were really updating it. We had somebody sitting in our operations room updating every single bit of information that was coming through. So we're trying to make our tools more effective and basically give the public who's interested the opportunity to be as informed as possible via Twitter, which is quite remarkable in and of itself.
Great. We have time, maybe we're going to run out, but 2 quick questions from the audience, please, if you have questions. Yes, stand up and say your name.
My name is Wilson Jones. Freelance journalist currently based here. The question is, fine, you were following the second flotilla incident. How come there was no activity happening around the first one?
It wasn't that there was no activity. It was a much more complicated operational incident. And as a result, the second that we did have information that we could release, we were putting it up on Twitter. But we go based on information. Basically, the way that we set up Twitter is we put out information on Twitter that we're releasing to journalists. And if you're not one of the journalists based in Israel, you're not getting the SMSs, you don't have the beeper, you're not getting this information. So we try to keep the public as informed. You know, you can follow us, it doesn't matter whether you're a registered journalist or just, you know, it doesn't matter what part of the world you're in or who you are, you have an opportunity to get this information as well. So it was all based on what was being released to the public at that time, which is why.
It all depends on the clients from the
Exactly.
obviously, other people aren't bound by that.
Right. Absolutely.
One other question? Yes?
My name is Tova.
Hi, Tova.
But what about responding to the questions from your followers and being more engaged with the
Okay,
population?
that's absolutely. That's something that I really hope to expand in the future. Of course, it does depend on many different factors, including manpower. And
Woman power.
yeah, manpower, and you know, the Twitter is something that is relatively new for the IDF, and so we have to develop and grow with it as much as possible. But it does take time to adjust, and also we do get plenty of sort of vituperative questions and comments, and I don't see any purpose in responding to those. However, if it's a legitimate request for information, I try to respond, or we try to respond as much as possible. It also depends on what the policy is about things that are being said and discussed. So, because again, we base our responses on Twitter and our information on things that are already being released. We don't set the policy for what information is getting released.
All right, thank you so much. Give it up. Come on.